damn, Gaban looking incredible. And it looks like what I've been saying for a while about Haki being the key cornerstone reason why. Obviously, it all goes back to Shanks. But if you're an immortal, it doesn't matter, bro. Hold on, dude. Kaido was right. Transcends all things. If you have the Haki, I think it's just the Haki. It could be some more like obscure, because I don't think that Garp could do this. Because Gaban is a love maker, like Sanji, of course, confirmed, not confirmed. Ha. And so is Garp. But I don't think the power of love is actually what's going on here. That'd be kind of weird. Like the power of love is what you need to permanently damage immortals or something. I don't think so. I thought about it for a second, but I don't think so. I think it's just Haki. I think the key thing here is Haki, but it depends on how much Haki you're using. I think that's the key here. Because he has a smaller bolt of Haki, but maybe he's using it in a certain way, or he knows a certain technique. Yeah, or it's actually a metric ton of Haki, but right now it doesn't seem that way. Because you see a bolt kind of going through someone's body, or let's say on the side. Then you see bolts around Gaban. Okay, hold on. I have done videos in the past before talking about this. I think Oda's kind of been telling you this ever since Shanks shut down Green Bull's powers. That's what I think, okay? I'll be honest here. I think that the first person to showcase this was Shanks. Shanks showed you that Haki has an ability to essentially negate other powers. That's basically what it is, okay? And I said it back then too, especially in the anime. If you go to the anime version of it, it's like that Shanks has, his Haki is almost like a straitjacket around Green Bull. And Green Bull he's forced to power down. He's forced to like condense down his form and go back to regular form. And then we saw with Joy Boy's Haki, and Shanks' Haki is confirmed to be parallel to Joy Boy's Haki in the same ballpark, that Joy Boy, when Amet undid the Haki knot, what happened? The elders were forced to power down, and they were forced to teleport back to the Holy Land. So Joy Boy's Haki, if the reason why the elders were on Negative Island because of the Abyss teleportation, then Haki on Joy Boy's level, or maybe it's love Haki or whatever, non-hostile Haki, whatever, or it's a certain amount of Haki, Conqueror's Haki, whatever it is, it's that's able to even negate the Abyss. The powers of the Abyss can be negated by the Call of the Supreme King, because the Call of the Supreme King has the ability, a pinnacle ability, you could argue, to negate all other abilities, potentially. Soon after that, you can argue it was in One Piece Volume 4 Billion, where Oda, and this is canon, Oda said that Shanks has Conqueror's Haki so strong that he can negate future sight. Keep that shit. Shanks has Conqueror's Haki that is so powerful that he can negate future sight. You can't see Shanks' future. That's not headcanon. That is the canon. That is the canon. That is confirmed in the One Piece Volume 4 Billion. That is canon. So he has that ability. He has future sight negation. He has the ability also to shut down Green Bull's powers. And Joy Boy's Haki, we saw in real time, could shut down other people's powers. And Shanks' Haki is comparable to Joy Boy's Haki. And I believe so is Goldie Rogers, where I believe that Goldie Roger, so Kaido said that someone like Goldie Roger didn't need any powers. Haki alone could conquer the Grand Line, or Haki could transcend. Haki could transcend all things. Haki can transcend all things. I think he means Conqueror's Haki. Because I view Shanks as the pinnacle of Haki alive in the world right now. I think that Shanks is the prima, he is the greatest Haki user on the planet by far. Gaban, I think, knows the same technique or the same level or that type of Haki, whether it's love, whether it's a certain level of Conqueror's Haki you have to have, so on and so forth, whatever it is. Gaban knows that, and he's able to actually do permanent damage, lasting damage to an immortal like Summers. Now, it's also possible too, keep this in mind, right? That Summers is not on the same immortality tier as the Elders. That's possible too, where Gunko, Summers, Kiringram, Shamrock, other Holy Knights, they don't have the same level of immortality that the 5 Elders do, because let's say, for example, the Elders have a stronger connection to the Abyss than the Holy Knights do, because they're Emu's direct aids, and they also have the number of magical seals. They have 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You can argue that, right? So you can argue something like that. Yeah, I'm saying it's a possibility, okay? Why is it that the 5 Elders have numbers to their magical circles, but the Holy Knights don't? You could argue, well, maybe it's because immortality, like, for example, you have, like in Bleach, you can argue that Okiura is in some ways immortal because he has that high speed of regeneration. But he's not like Aizen, who's like a true immortal, you can argue, right? So there's levels of immortality here, where you can be able to come back and regenerate, but are you a true immortal? And this is a quote unquote a demon hierarchy, maybe a demon hierarchy, maybe, who knows? That being said though, I think that's the key thing here. The key thing here is that there are 2 keys here. Number 1, the Haki. Whatever it is in terms of Haki that Gaban has, that's the key. 1. 2 is that maybe Summers and the Holy Knights do not have the same level of immortality as the 5 Elders do it, or Emu does. Because listen, Gaban probably has a metric ton of Haki in this cut. In this first axe throw, Kaido style, charge it up, vroom, flip, nani? A lot of Haki in that first attack. And this one for sure, without doubt. But Gaban is probably not on the same, no, he's not. Wait. Gaban is for sure a weaker Conqueror's Haki user than freaking Joy Boy. For sure. 1000%. Yes. All right. So even if it is a sort of tier, a hierarchy of immortality that's going on here between the Holy Knights and the 5 Elders and Emu, in theory, all you just need is better, stronger Haki. Whether, let's say, be Conqueror's Haki, whether, let's say, be the more serene love Haki, whatever Eric's saying there. I don't know, love Haki's weird to me, but maybe. What if it's you have to be, let's say, like, only people that have an affinity for Conqueror's Haki can get on this certain level, where it doesn't matter what level of immortality you are, Haki transcends all. Shut it down. Stop it. And people like Luffy, people like probably Shanks, Goldie Roger, Joy Boy, they probably all have, and Luffy we know, an affinity for Conqueror's Haki. They have an affinity for it. So I'm willing to bet here that they have the maxed, or they can reach the maxed out Conqueror's Haki, like the highest pinnacles of that shit. Kaido is probably right. And there's a good chance here that in terms of Conqueror's Haki infusion, this is one way to permanently damage an immortal. There could be more ways of doing it, but I think that this is one way of actually doing it, where in terms of Haki, you have to be at a certain level of Haki. So I would say probably right now, you know what? Hold on. Yeah, I think that not even Luffy right now is on that level. There's a good chance. He probably needs more work in that department. Because I said before too, I said that one of the things I want Scopper to do in the future of this arc is maybe teach Luffy how to use his Conqueror's Haki in the correct way. Or at least understand what it really means to be a Conqueror's Haki infusion user. And because Luffy has an affinity for Conqueror's Haki, eventually in the future, his Haki will be on the same level as Shanks's, as Joy Boy's, as Roger's, and probably even better than all of them. There's a good chance when in the series, he will have the strongest Haki on the planet, in the planet's history. So Gaban will help Luffy in some respects. Like, he'll see this happen, and then, because Luffy had a hard-ass time, remember that. He had a hard-ass time dealing with the elders. Like, Saturn kept on coming back, and he kept on getting annoyed, constantly. Like, bro, I'm thinking that's the case here, where Gaban could teach him the true purpose of Conqueror's Haki, to dominate other powers and abilities wholesale. That is the pinnacle of Conqueror's Haki infusion. To negate all things. Literally, all things. Shut it down. Stop. That would even apply to maybe physique-based things, like your raw physical strength and speed, potentially. I don't know that one. Technology, like a beam of light comes your way, shut it down. Or let's say you have these sort of death rays, shut it down. But it's not a touch thing, it's more like a universal thing, where like the Haki and Haki, well, for certain people, let's say for Gaban, he has to make contact. Because he's not on, I'm assuming, based on what we see him do for the first time in this arc, he has an affinity for observation Haki, because I think he's the parallel to Sanji. Woo, and by the way, this is a great outlook for Sanji's future. Make no mistake. Oh, Immortal. Shut it down. Woo! All the agenda. It is delicious. Make no mistakes. Absolutely, man. There's no clear way to distinguish the usage of coding yourself with kings. There's not, but that's Oda's issue in terms of being able to display how Conqueror's Haki is depicted in the story. Like, for example, let's say, in theory, I'm not saying this is the case. I'm not saying this is the case. I'm not, okay? I'm not. Let's say that Garp can't do this. Let's just say, okay? Maybe he could. I don't know. Garp can make gigantic titanic bolts of Conqueror's Haki that stemmed off of the buildings when he did the Galaxy Impact. Huge. But Gaban may know the technique or the right application to use Conqueror's Haki to do permanent damage to an immortal. So what Gaban knows, Garp does not know, even though Garp, you can argue, can make bigger bolts of Conqueror's Haki. Or let's say, for example, the size of the bolt doesn't necessarily matter. Well, for example, Gaban's bolts are more condensed given how he's attacking. And let's say if they weren't condensed, they'd be just as big as a branch. I have no idea. Conqueror's Haki depiction is very inconsistent in the story because it has the same sort of application as Arm Haki in many respects. Yeah, and you know what, too? Fair enough. This could be temporary. Let's say, for example, he's able to temporarily stop the regeneration of summers. That's possible. That is possible. Where it's only for a short window of time has summer stopped regenerating. But a truly powerful Conqueror's Haki infusion user, Shanks, he could permanently stop regen immortality factor. So there are many avenues as to like how this works out. Honestly, there really is. Just because you know a method of countering something or you have a better technique doesn't mean that you're more powerful than the person that doesn't know that technique. Like, for example, okay? Kiku Nojo has the ability to damage Kaido. Kiku can damage Kaido with Oden's Haki. That doesn't mean that Kiku is stronger than Luffy in Dressrosa. No. Or Katakuri. No. Like, you know a certain technique that allows you to damage Kaido. Gaban knows a certain technique that allows him to actually do lasting damage to an immortal. Okay. Does that mean he's being Fushiro in a one-on-one fight? A long way to go for that. GDN, turns out Gaban is using an advanced observation haki that is visually indistinguishable from advanced armament and conquerors. Peak power. So this is advanced observation? Buddy, I understand what you're getting at, but nah. Look, observation is more about presence and seeing the future and things of that sort, right? I don't think this is it. Maybe if there was a lightning bolt coming out of his eye or something, because you know how in the anime they have the user, like at least they used to do this, where the haki user would have their eyes kind of turn red for a second or two because they were using their ability. That happened, I think, a lot actually, I think in Film Z, and then also for the Film Gold. What was it? I think the Film Gold special. But I don't think this is anything involving. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe he's applying his Conqueror's haki. He's able to control it better, and then he's able to do that through observation haki. So let's say he has much weaker Conqueror. Let's say, for example, he has much weaker Conqueror's haki than someone like Garp, but he's able to apply it in such a way to where it's magnified. It's way more effective because of his observation. But that's kind of me being generous there, I think, honestly. An observation haki technique that lets him see his opponent's weaknesses, like brain point. In a way, yeah, kind of. But it'd be almost like, not just that, it's also applying haki to said weaknesses in the right amount to do lasting damage to an immortal. So it's like a more effective brain point. But again, like I don't see this being that's kind of weird to me. I think it's wholesale Conqueror's haki, but I see what you're saying there. Because he does have at least it seems to me he has very good observation haki. People made the idea or the point that, okay, maybe there is an application of observation in this too, where he's able to actually do this sort of damage and pinpoint certain parts of his body and do massive damage to those areas because of observation. I don't see how it attacks. I can't see it being utilized in some way to get a better shot on him for sure. Maybe not, who knows? I don't think it's because like the reason why it's hard to say if it's actually Conqueror's haki or not is because the bolt is thin. The bolt is pretty thin. It's not really distinct like we've seen Garp or we've seen Luffy and Kaido. You know, it's not massive. But that could be Oda's just style of doing it, where he wants to make it look cool and have these gigantic bolts take away from the artwork itself. So Oda just made them small. So I can understand why people would say, okay, it's armor haki, not Conqueror's haki, or it's a combination, or it's somehow a weird application of observation haki, or it's power of love, or it's non-hostile in some way. But it probably is Conqueror's haki, but Oda's not showing you it in full like he would normally. Because stylistically, it'd be a little bit awkward to have a gigantic, thick-ass black bolt going right next to Summers' body when his design is mostly black in the manga, obviously. You have the black sword thorn thing, and then it takes away from the white ambiance that you have near Gaban if he has these black bolts on him too. That's what I can argue. Like, I think stylistically you can argue that having these gigantic thunderous bolts makes no real sense. So yeah, listen, it's possible. I'll admit that. All right, obviously, only time can tell. Reggie still at work, but it looks like they have some form of regent after all. I'm curious if the deterrent for regent is an armament like Blackbeard of the Logia, something Zoro may tap into but damage a true body. I'm not too sure because again, I don't see it as Armored Haki. I see it as Conqueror's Haki. But to be fair, it could be Armored Haki. The only problem is that Conqueror's Haki seems to be the only power that can really transcend all things. We saw with Shanks and Joy Boy. So I would assume that Gaban has the same thing too. But then again, it could be observation in some weird way. Maybe Ryo? Nah. Cause my guess here is that Luffy was using Ryo Haki when he fought against the Elders. Again, Luffy fought against the Elders and their regen was pissing him off and he couldn't get it done. So Gaban knows something about Haki in some way. Whether it's observation, armament, conquerors, power of love, whatever it is. He knows something about Haki that Luffy does not know.
See you. Bye-bye.